The Sportsline Podcast continues to keep on moving, and we certainly appreciate you checking us out on the CHCH and Parrot Media platforms. I'm Bubba O'Neil. As many of you know, this podcast is a space for the many extraordinary athletes, coaches, executives, and league that operate or hail from the Golden Horseshoe. Today, it's one of our very own from Steeltown, whose footsteps can be traced back to Cathedral High School and whose professional building blocks began in Thunder Bay and then to Winnipeg. He's now a regular on the desk at the evening news at 11, and he's also one of the lead reporters on Trending Now. Now, although he does have a passion for covering news, he's a knowledgeable, hardcore sports fan, which we certainly like. Jason, great to have you back on the Sportsline Podcast.
Back at it. Nice to be here, Bubs.
I mean, we do this every day. Like, what we're about to do right now, we do every day. We got mixed in with a couple of different people in the newsroom. But there is a plethora, I think would be the word, of things to talk about in the sports world.
There absolutely is. And it's funny, you remind me of the time when, back in the day, when the great Roger Lajoie on the Fan 590, who used to be one of my instructors at the College of Sports Media, and he always said, he goes, you know what? Every time you guys are talking in the classroom, that's the show right here. This is where, why can't you translate the show into the actual broadcast? And then it's just like, well, this is a good point, because it's like the cameras are off and all of a sudden, the thoughts are everywhere, and you really get into the thick of it. So it's knowing how to translate from that to this. So
no doubt. I often wonder what our colleagues think when we all get off. And as I said, there's other people in the newsroom that kind of come in, different people every once in a while that join into the conversations based on whatever we're talking about, which is amazing. A lot of fun.
It's so much fun. And there's just, it's an ongoing discussion too, because we're still, and this is why we're here today, and it's exciting to talk about the important things and the exciting things that are happening right now. So glad to be here, getting to the thick of it.
Well, you want excitement, folks? Let's go to baseball. Blue Jays are set to face the Yankees or the Red Sox in the American League Divisional Series. Of course, the wild cards are going on as we record this. Now, you've offered an opinion to me, and that the Blue Jays, as I said, will face either the Red Sox or the Yankees, and that tends to worry you. Why so?
Well, it's like asking, pick your poison on how you want to die. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. We're talking about the two historical juggernauts of the AL East, and I think it's probably with the mystique that surrounds the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox, and the fact that it's never happened before. This is uncharted territory that the Blue Jays are entering. And importantly, after what just happened, what just transpired on the final stretch of the regular season, I felt like they really needed that bye. And now they get to watch them duke it out, and wait for them on Saturday, whoever it's going to be. And it probably, the fact that they want to get healthy now, and this could be a time to recalibrate, probably mentally and all those things. They're probably going to be in it for probably one of the more monumental series in their careers. That's what it feels like. So no matter who it is, be prepared, because there's going to be a lot of pressure. There's going to be a lot of eyeballs. It's probably going to be a ratings bonanza than we can ever think of. The stakes are as high as that I can ever recall, probably going back to 2015. I know we've talked about that ad nauseum. But this is going to be the most important postseason series that I can remember, and whoever it's going to be, again, pick your poison. Now, if it was up to me, I would probably say I'd rather see the Blue Jays face the Red Sox.
Really?
By a hair. We just saw, Garrett Crochet's been, what he did the last time he was out, and he obviously pitched really well yesterday. But after that, does Boston have anyone they can rely on? Pretty solid bullpen. But in terms from a rotation, I just think that I rather have the Blue Jays go up against that than a heavy hitting New York Yankees team, even though that they have their bullpen's not that great. I think their offense outweighs those concerns, so I'm leaning to. I kind of hope. I'd rather see maybe they face the Red Sox, but that doesn't mean it's anything. Nothing's a guarantee there.
What are your thoughts? Because you're right. The big thing about the Blue Jays and wanting to win the American League East was it was going to give you that time, as you said, to recalibrate, get people healthy, maybe get a situation where Bo Bichette can get back into the lineup. But I will twist it this way. What are your thoughts, again, with the old argument of rest versus rust?
I guess it depends on the mental makeup of the team. How mature are the Blue Jays? I think that's a valid question to ask. I think usually teams that tend to get the bye, I think veteran, mature teams would know how to adjust off that kind of break, while younger teams, may not be as disciplined. I'm just using conventional wisdom on this from a human level. So, but maybe in the Blue Jays situation, it's a little different because they have players that are, a lot of them looking to get healthy. So the routines, the focus may be a little different going into Saturday. I would say you want to keep playing, you don't want to stop, but I really think the Jays needed this bye more than anything. And you can make the argument on either or, but I'm sure a lot of pro athletes would say they want the rest.
Yeah.
But I think it boils down to the mental makeup of the team. That's the question. What is the mental makeup of this Blue Jays baseball team?
That's it, and that's what's going to get tested right now, because as you talked about, whether it's a veteran team or a young team, I don't even know what they are, right? They're
right.
The way, because of injuries and the way this team has sort of formulated itself, you have these veteran players, but then you have a bunch of Joey Loperfidos, right? like who?
Sometimes you need those guys.
Right, and you do need those guys right now. But what's going to be their setup, like you said, what's going to be their performance level when the bright lights are on? Right, and this is why I throw you this, okay? Boy, with all due respect to the Toronto Argonauts, okay? With all due respect, the Leafs, the Raptors, the shine is kind of worn off from 2019, I think.
I believe so.
Of course, the Maple Leafs going real far. This region, that city, maybe even this country, desperate for a winner. Yeah. There is pressure in Boston. There is pressure in New York, no doubt. Is it pressure in Toronto?
I think there is, only because I think there's pressure on Ross Atkins and Shapiro.
Oh.
I think that's what it boils down to. And something I have, my gut feeling is that if things go bad, it's going to circle right back to them, and because there's the pitching concerns with the Blue Jays. That was not going to be enough. They didn't address it. I'm sure the storylines are going to come out about why nothing happened at the trade deadline. All those little things. There's going to be something to point to of this baseball team that there was a flaw. And I've actually made this point before, where I actually think the Blue Jays actually overachieved this year. I'd rather take an overachieving season than an underachieving.
Why? What do you mean?
I just, considering all the past few seasons of the struggles, okay, and the inconsistencies, and obviously the younger stars not delivering as to people's standards. Considering the fact that there was also contract concerns about locking up, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and all those things, and there was a little bit of a lag, because it looked like it was a trajectory that they were taking when they made the postseason during, I believe, COVID.
Yep.
And then it just kind of waned a little bit. There was a little bit of a wane. There was all this momentum, and then it waned. And no matter what, I've said this from day one, but ever since Shapiro came in, I really feel like, whether it's the fans, whether it's the media, they've had an axe to grind with him. Because you took away, you were the man who broke up our family, that sent Alex Anthopoulos out to Atlanta, yada, yada, yada. And that has been the sticking point. That is the axe to grind. And if things go bad, that is where they're going to turn. Fair or unfair?
Yeah, fair or unfair. One last thing on this, and boy, I think this is, in some ways, I think it's kind of crazy talk, but then certain people have kind of made me think. Now it's in my head. I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but I will. There's a belief from many, maybe conspiracy theorists, that believe the Major League Baseball would prefer to have the New York Yankees or the Boston Red Sox reach the American League Championship Series. And the only reason why I say this is that during the stretch, while the Blue Jays were fighting so hard to make the postseason, there was some funky calls.
There was so many. Like, it's just, it's inevitable. And I think nobody wants to. There's a lot of fans that don't want to admit that kind of thing, but it's the reality. I mean, if you're running a business and you want to have a certain outcome, would you do the same thing? I don't know. I'm not. Again, I think the point I'm trying to make here is that the Jays are. It's almost like when I hear the people talk about the NBA saying you got to earn your calls. I almost feel like the Jays are going to have to almost earn their calls when it comes to those edges around the strike zone, whether it's ball. It's going to come down to a controversial ball or slash strike. Those kind of things. I think they have to be prepared for it. And the way I'll frame it is that I think the umps are going to do. They're going to make sure they're going to go above and beyond to say, you know what, Blue Jays are going to have to earn this victory. Like, they're going to make them earn it. So the Jays are going to have to. They're really going to have to step up their game. And again, I think pressure is also plays a role in it too. But I really think they're going to have to step up their game because there's going to be a lot of elements. There's always controversy. Always seems to follow the Blue Jays, whether it's a foul ball or a strike zone. It's something. So be prepared for it. Overcome it, and you can beat it. It's beatable.
Stay tuned, folks. We're going to move to the Canadian Football League, and just over a week ago, the Canadian Football League was the chatter of sports.
Oh boy.
Not only just in this country, but in North America. Commissioner Stuart Johnson sort of introducing 6 new rule changes to be spread upon the next 2 seasons that will be to alter the game. I think that's the way I'll describe it. We were all really in the business of breaking down each sort of rule change and what we thought about it. But recently, when I had Justin Dunk on of 3 Down Nation to give his thoughts about the rules, he went in another direction. And I want to roll this clip and tell me what you think.
Absolutely.
I will give Stuart Johnston the benefit of the doubt. But honestly, the more that I think about it, I think that the CFL and Board of Governors are going about this potentially in a backwards way, because you have a businessman, by and large part, in Stuart Johnston, who was brought in to be the commissioner. And I think the business of the CFL is what has to be under the microscope, not the football game. I don't think the changes are, from my standpoint, as catastrophic as I thought that they might be. But to me, this needs to lead to revenue. Otherwise, what are we doing here?
Straight up here, Jason goes a completely different direction because, yes, the chatter was, like I said, I don't like this rule. I like this rule. They're trying to Americanize the game. That was the early conversation. But where Jason is going to ask, and I'd love your comment here, in 151 days of being the commissioner, should Stuart Johnston be focused on other things other than rule changes?
I'm going to give the new commissioner the benefit of the doubt. I think he is focused on other things, and in regards to the rule changes, in my opinion, I think a lot of them are practical. I think some of them are practical changes. I mean, sure, there's the purists that don't like it, and it was kind of predictable it was going to go down that way. In terms of how much of the backlash will result in terms of a quote unquote boycott, I don't know. I'm probably going to lean no. I doubt you'll see it.
No one's turning in their season tickets.
No one is going to turn in their and I'm probably with you there. And but to Justin Dunk's point, it was I couldn't agree more. There is other things I believe they have to focus on, because if you want to use the NFL as a measuring stick, let's use the NFL as a measuring stick. The NFL being 4-down football does not make NFL king. NFL is king for other reasons, and I don't even think Canadians are expecting the CFL to be the NFL. That's not what we're trying to do. But we need to see a sustainable model where there's going to be fans in almost all the seats, week in, week out, and and obviously something that looks aesthetically pleasing on the television, right? And which, by the way, I think I had to do a little research. The attendances haven't been really all that down. I actually believe in 2024 they were on average they were slightly a tick above the average. So there's some work to be done, but there's still some groundwork that they've done that they can build on. I believe the new commissioner is focusing on other things. Now, his reasonings for making these rules, now to play a little devil's advocate, I believe his reasonings that he gave to the public about making these rules and about, changing the game to make it more exciting, I don't see that way. And I think he needed to convey the message, and maybe this is where his inexperience comes from, all due respect, but I think he needed to convey the message a little better in regards to, I think he needs to give the fans a better reason for the rule changes rather than saying this is going to make it more exciting, because maybe that's what's feeding into the thoughts and the conspiracies about Americanization of the game. I do believe the rules were practical. Maybe on the fence about moving the goalposts, and if you did move the goalposts, then subsequently you had to shrink the field to make up for the lost yard. I mean, I was a fan of shrinking the end zones just a little bit. I hope they keep the width of the field. Yep. They better stay 3 downs, which is like sacred. And the play clock stuff and the bench on the other side, like, I don't know, who cares about that? But I just think he needed to give the fans a more better reasons to have these rule changes. I think he should have gave a more practical response into conveying that message, because regardless of what their reasons were, I don't know if there was a lot of people I think left unsatisfied. Whether you agree with it or not, there was something unsatisfactory about that press conference walking away. And I understand maybe he wants to make a splash. What type of advice he's getting? We're dealing with a very different commissioner. This is a different beast compared to Randy Ambrosie. So,
oh my goodness!
I commend the aggressiveness. I'm with the changes, but there is so much more that needs to be done to building this product, and whether it's probably gonna have to start with a new TV deal, and that's you want to make sure that the economics are right in line. That is probably their number, and I'm sure that's what they're probably looking at right now. I don't know what the future is with TSN and Bell Media and all those things, and I know I'm kind of going a little left field here, but
it's a reality though.
All these things, right? These are the economic realities of the CFL that are probably important. If they say, I think it was a 7 out of 9.
7 out of 9, and that's a number I feel like I'm pretty embroiled in the Canadian Football League, and not only as a fan but professionally as well too, and maybe I should have known this, and the fact that 7 out of 9 teams are not moneymakers, and in some ways, especially here in Hamilton, we should be very fortunate that we have ownership that are, let's just say, in it not to make money. Like, that's not their most important thing. Providing the public service, I think they would want to make money. What businessman wouldn't? But Bob Young has absorbed losses for years with this club, I believe. I feel pretty safe in saying that. And that's not good. What league wants to lose money? That have more than 50% of its teams losing money. And will these rule changes increase attendance? Will they make more people watch on television? I guess we have to wait and see.
Yeah, and I think it's where's the league? Maybe this is where the previous commissioner was trying to go. Like, I think they're trying to find other revenue streams, which is important to do. You want to be able to find new revenue streams. Everyone's trying to diversify their business model to make sure they stay competitive. I mean, we're seeing it with the NFL and the NBA. Yep. They're getting into partnerships with the betting apps. Like, we're seeing new frontiers of how you can, quote unquote, skin a cat or
more games overseas.
More games overseas. Maybe that's the idea that the current commissioner is thinking of, is like, if we shorten the field a little bit, maybe we can drop our football games somewhere in the States. Yeah. And these are just thoughts that I'm kind of throwing out there on why I'm trying to think what's the purpose of changing the dimensions of the field. Well, I mean, maybe it's more palatable to transfer the game somewhere else. And, you know, I mean, and I've also heard for years, like, why hasn't the CFL got a video game? Why haven't they, you know, developed more partnerships in, I mean, why not go into partnership with a betting app if the opportunity is there? Why not? I mean, everyone else is doing it. You might as well do it as well. But
why doesn't the league have an app?
Why doesn't the league have an app? Yeah, there's so many elements that they've fallen behind in the world of business, where maybe the attendances are not the number one concern right now. And maybe it's the other things. And this, circling back to Justin Dunk's point, is that they need to be focusing on other ways, the opportunities that are out there, especially in a digital world. There's ample of opportunities out there to earn more money. And you're only going to earn more money by keeping your uniqueness. So this is why I hope that if whatever indication he gave in that press conference that he wasn't writing anything off, whether was there a rule, there was a rule that was sacred.
I think it was Dunk that asked the question. Will this league go to 4 downs?
Yeah, like I assure you, the football being 4 downs is not the reason why people watch the NFL. People watch the NFL for other reasons, and it's culture, mystique, the week-long build-up, the storyline building, the production, obviously,
the money.
You need money to do these things, right? So, but in the end, like, you have to be able to find those revenue streams, and I think it's out there in a digital world. I assure you, it's out there. Whether it's going to be $10 million or $100 million, it's going to be out there, and I think they can kind of get themselves a little bit over the top. Where as long as I don't think the CFL will ever be a mega moneymaker, but I believe the opportunity is still there to be successful enough to say, you know what, each team, I think we ground out a little profit and everyone would be happy, and that is the sustainable model. You don't have to be 20, 30, 40 million dollars into the plus every year to be like, you know what, hey, we're successful. No, I just CFL's the fans are going to be there, and I feel like if the attendances stay where they are, because it's a gate-driven league, this is the opportunity where you can get over the hump. You just got to find the know-how, and maybe this commissioner, he might have it, but let's wait and see.
Not even 200 days into the job, and I'll tell you, Stuart Johnson is on the move. Sticking with the Canadian Football League.
Yep.
Tiger Cats whipped 40-3 by the Bombers in Winnipeg. Their worst loss since 2017. Why does this loss concern you?
Oh, it has to concern. I mean, I think it's just the fact that it's the blowouts that are happening to the teams that are potentially going to be the contenders in the cup game, and the close games that they had with teams that are bad. And I'm seeing this trend from this football team, and the dud. There just seems to be a lot of duds, and I mean, you can't give up 40 points. And you can't. You definitely have to score more than 3. It just, and I mean, if you, the opening, like, this was just such a bad start, as in more like worse than you can ever ask. Like, so, and coming up, especially with a Winnipeg team that I thought looked vulnerable, considering, you know, their quarterback situation, their age, the attrition. I truly believe this Ticat team is very talented. I think they do have a lot of talent, and they strike me as a team that's still kind of new. The synergy's not there. The chemistry's not fully intact. You know, they brought in some new pieces. It looks like some of the newer pieces look to be the anchors of their units. Maybe it's just a chemistry thing, but they worry me in this much where it's going to obviously it's going to draw a lot of criticism because people see the talent there. You see the splash plays. It's like from Bo Levi Mitchell to Kenny Lawler, and it's just like, oh my God, the Cats just dropped a touchdown like nothing in the moment, and then the offense comes out flat the next drive, and it just doesn't. Right now, they're not bringing a lot of. I don't think they're bringing a lot of confidence for me right now, at least from my eyes.
Do you think that I mean, there's 3 games remaining in the regular season for the Alouettes and the Tiger Cats. They do have the tiebreaker over the Alouettes. And now the big discussion is right now, okay, there's a belief that many think that the Tiger Cats will probably, because they've done enough in the regular season to win the division. But if these two teams meet, even in Hamilton, for the East Final, that a lot of people are going to say advantage, especially if Davis Alexander, obviously it hinges on that, this opinion, that the Alouettes will clean the Tiger Cats' clock.
I don't know if they'll clean. I wouldn't go that far. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I mean, considering there was the blowouts there's the recent blowout that they just had, but I'm more worried about the Tiger Cats holding on to this division. I still think that I still think their division is at risk right now. I mean, considering what we saw on Labor Day, that loss, that really, really bad. See, there was a lot of bad losses, Bubs. Yes. There was a lot of bad losses. I can understand if it was, there was just a lot of bad losses, the way it unfolded. Like, I've seen better losses. There's been a lot of bad losses.
Even the BC loss at home in overtime.
Heartbreakers, like just really bad, like avoidable heartbreakers. I truly believe there was a lot of them were avoidable. And now and who knows if the Argos, how confident they're feeling going into Saturday at home. And this is... And after the letdown that the Ticats just have, you don't think the Argos are smelling blood in the water? And then they have a game against Calgary, who you still can't. I know they're struggling, but you still can't count them out, knowing Hamilton's history against Calgary. Yep. There is potentially two games that are very much that possibly you could lose here. Now they got Ottawa at the end, but Ottawa gave them some goes too. So,
but Montreal got 2 against Ottawa. They're 3.
They did, and now that Davis Alexander's back, there is certainty at the quarterback position in Montreal. The way the momentum is swinging, it's not swinging in the Ticats' direction. There's a lot of concern. I think if they go into Toronto they beat Toronto. And then there's definitely some breathing room there. But
right.
I just don't see the way they've been playing. I don't see this division being all that certain. And I believe they're under a lot of pressure. I truly believe they're under a lot of pressure right now.
Well, and it sounds like, and this is what is so strange to me, because if you look at the positioning in the Eastern Division, a 9-win Ticat team going into Toronto, a 5-win club, and pressure on Hamilton. Apparently this could be the biggest crowd the Argonauts are going to have in years because of this Bills in Toronto affiliation. I don't know if they're giving out free tickets. I don't know what they're doing, but there is apparently this Hamilton Tiger Cats, Toronto Argonauts, which is always a great rivalry, nonstop, full stop. And now you've put in this Bills in Canada twist. There's going to be Bills logos all over. This is going to be weird, I think.
And this is uncharted, and this is another uncharted territory.
Jim Kelly's going to be there.
The Tabbies are going to go into BMO Field, and it's going to be like, wait a minute, we've never had an atmosphere like that. It could be. Now I'll give them more credit than that because they're professionals, mm-hmm. But things are going to look different, and I don't know, maybe I wouldn't write it off, but
apparently some of the changes for the FIBA World Cup, like apparently the building looks different. There's more video screens.
There's definitely going to be a lot more distractions. I would hope that these distractions would not be playing a factor. We'll never know, but the fact is that on the field. Don't count. I think the Argos do have the ability to score points.
They do.
So if the Ticats defense are not making the big plays, we could see a shootout. And I just don't know if I'm comfortable seeing Hamilton going into that kind of shootout. I just don't at this moment of time. I really have doubts about their offensive line right now.
Really?
Yeah, Hamilton. They face an elite pass rush. I'm not saying that Toronto has it, but that's just these kind of things sit in my mind. This is where my concerns are right now.
Let's go to the other league.
Yep.
And again, there's question marks there. No doubt the Bills in the AFC and the Eagles in the NFC are the top dogs as we see in terms of the standings. They're lone 4-0 teams. And then there's everyone else. And even I think in some ways you could throw in the Bills and the Eagles. And I don't know who's the best team in the league. I know we're only a quarter of the way through the season. But I'll ask you this question. I mean, this goes right back to the Pete Rozelle days and the Tagliabue days that they wanted to establish parity in this league. Have they reached it?
I believe so. And this is one, I think, indicator is the fact that there's been, since they've added that extra playoff game, pretty much the 7th team, I feel like I'm pretty sure the last couple of years there's been a new team that's a rise into the postseason, which only helps. Which actually it is to me that's an indication that there is parity, because we're seeing quicker improvements with some football clubs, more so than we saw in the past. Like I remember watching the NFL in the 90s. Like some of the teams were bad; they were bad for years. And I know maybe there's a lot of fans right now that could be watching. Maybe they don't, respectfully, maybe they don't recall that era, if they were too young or they weren't watching or whatever it is, but. That to me, because I've seen the game grow over like a 30-year span, I truly believe there's parity more than ever, and they just have just enough elite teams to say, you know what, they're the same elite teams that are going to be the same Super Bowl contenders, so that, and the chance for a dynasty, because I do believe that dynasties sell too. Maybe not the Chiefs. I think everyone got a little tired with the Chiefs for whatever reason. I don't know if it was because of the Taylor Swift thing and the Kelsey, and people were just annoyed with them. And officiating. Don't get me started. Let's. Anyways, but I do believe that there's. Right now, the NFL is probably in the best position they are from a branding, from an excitement, entertainment product, because you just have enough elite teams, and then you got the second tier that just kind of fluctuates, and they're ready to make the jump, and there's just been newer teams in the playoffs. That means you're selling hope. That means you're when you sell hope, when you sell a winning product, you're gonna draw more. You're probably gonna draw more bets, more eyeballs on the TV, more tickets, more everything. And
more bets being the key word.
And I just I don't know if you noticed that commercial, but the song from the 90s, "Come On Ride the Train."
Yeah.
That commercial, the tagline, it could be anybody, or sorry, I'm paraphrasing here, but it could be anybody's year.
Yeah.
There it is. I've never seen the NFL do a commercial like that.
No.
With all the team brands, and you're selling hope, and they really. I've never would have thought the NFL would have done a commercial like that, because it's kind of quirky, it's kind of hip, but it's kind of like, hey, like we're really like if another league had done that same commercial, I'd probably be like, I don't know about that. But when the NFL did it, that is believable.
Yeah.
That is a believable commercial, as light and fun and fluffy as it is. The tagline on that commercial was believable, and so I do believe the parity is there. And now, do those second-tier teams, do they have the ability to bring down the shackles of the Chiefs and everything? I mean, maybe you can make the argument that the Philly did that, but Philly really loaded up on their roster.
But we've seen that. Look where Baltimore is right now.
Look where Baltimore is. They're coming down. Like these type of storylines is what keeps the fans engaged. Take notes, CFL. I mean, if you can, in some regard, right? So.
Pop quiz, and I'll start first because I haven't thrown this at you, but then you can think about it. Your top 5 in the National Football League. I'll go Eagles number 1, Bills number 2, Lions number 3, Chiefs 4, Rams 5.
I would agree with that. It's hard to give up on the Ravens. I know they're
1-3.
I know there's
Lamar. We don't know if he's playing. It doesn't sound like he's playing.
Well, if he doesn't play, then yes, then my position changes. But that's how valuable he is. I mean, I can't give up on the Ravens. There's just too. there's too much a proven track record. I just think you can't sleep on them yet. They may not. I'm not saying they're going to win like 7 straight, but I still believe that they're going to be good enough to be right in the mix. And when it comes down to that final stretch on the last day, and they finally find their stride and they get into the postseason, and you're, say, I don't know, you're the Chargers, would you want to play Baltimore going in hot in the playoffs?
Well, hold on. You're right. You brought up the Chargers. Everyone was talking up the Chargers.
I am talking up I do like the Chargers, actually.
But then they lost to the Giants. A rookie quarterback in his first start.
That was kind of a predictable letdown game because of the grueling schedule that the Chargers had. I know it may sound like an excuse, but these are realities. The Chargers were on a grueling schedule. They played how many divisional games in the first 3 stretch? They had to travel to Brazil for their home game, and then to go. There's a lot of like flying around, and then they have to go all the way back to the East Coast to play the Giants. The Giants are starting a different quarterback. Their preparation's off. There's just too many elements that I'm just saying, you know what? Yeah, this is a letdown game for the Chargers, and they're on a roll, and they grinded through all those wins, and I'm like, this is finally where they're gonna run out of gas, and they're gonna run into a roadblock, and the Giants, they're desperate. All those elements I took into consideration to say, you know what, this could be a spot where we might see an upset. So I'll give the Chargers a break for losing to the Giants. But I mean, it was still close.
It was close.
It was close, and I thought they kind of neutralized Jackson Dart a little bit,
Yeah, he was a bit of a runner there. He didn't really pass for, I think he passed for like 115 yards. But they still won the game. They're desperate for anything for that Giants fandom. But, suspicious by his absence is you saying anything about the Pittsburgh Steelers and your boy Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know. Maybe it was a Dublin thing. I don't know. Rooney, the Irish connection. A lot of Steeler fans in Ireland. I think I'm still going to reserve judgment on the Steelers.
How much longer do you need to reserve judgment on your own team?
Unless they win the Super Bowl, then I'll be convinced. Anything short of a Super Bowl title. Listen, the Steelers, they still been giving. I still think their defense is vulnerable. They're giving up a lot of points. I mean, Mike Tomlin's got to figure out how to clean that up a little bit. And they've given the keys to Aaron Rodgers to run the offense. Given Aaron Rodgers' history, I mean, we're talking about the all-time great quarterbacks.
Sure.
But he's just so eccentric and so, just weird. Like,
do you like the guy?
I don't know. I don't want. I think there was a lot of media that like they deliberately. I feel like a lot of people have gone after him. I don't look at from all the stuff that he's been associated with outside the football field. I look at what's happening in the locker room, and I mean, like he has been maybe he wasn't the easiest teammate to be around, but I will. But
sounds like he is now.
I think he seems to be happy in that locker room. Obviously, compared to New York, I mean, New York's just a dumpster fire. But maybe it has something to do with no matter how bad things get in the Steelers. Organization, the culture, the leadership is still there. Like guys like Cam Hayward, the long-term members of the franchise. Like there just seems to be that tradition that carries on, and there's always a veteran on that team that still helps maintain that standard, whether they're not living up to it or not. That might probably give Aaron Rodgers some comfort, and I think him and Mike Tomlin generally they seem to be pretty tight. So there's a lot of trust there, and maybe they got the weapons that he likes. I mean, they got DJ Metcalf, right? I still think there's still some things they got to clean up. They look a little better than I thought. But if they really want to make a run to that Super Bowl, I think if they clean up the defense and know how to make some really shutdown stops, really boost up those 3 and outs, then I might be a little more confident. But
so you're so cautious.
I'm very cautious.
You're so cautious.
Also, too, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he's not young either.
No, he's not. I mean, if he gets hurt, you're toast.
Right.
But I will say this. And we'll finish up on this here. The Bengals are in trouble. Yeah. No Joe Burrow. The Browns, Joe Flacco is their quarterback. Love Joe Flacco. 41 years old out there still chucking. He's got no mobility.
He's a dinosaur.
He's a dinosaur. But they do have one of the best defensive players, maybe of all time,
on
their roster as well too. But the Browns are the Browns. Okay? right now the Ravens, squeaky. Are the Steelers the favorites to win the NFC North?
They should
AFC
win.
North.
The way it's looking right now, they should win the division. Actually, everything's in their hands right now. If this is the biggest test for any sports team, is how do you handle prosperity? How do you handle being in the driver's seat? Can you maintain that? That is the real test of greatness, is can you be as great when everyone expects you to be great and do it consistently. So we'll see. It's still early. I know the bad starts are never good for teams that are trying to get in the postseason, but I've seen good starts wither away. So I maybe get back to me in maybe like the next 4 weeks.
I cannot believe
I'm a huge cynic when it comes to my teams. I'm a very big cynic, right? Yeah. My standards, like, you got to be better. You got to show me
constantly.
Even if you lose tough games, at least you show me that you have the ability to either stop the bleeding, and I'm using obviously just whether things are getting bad. Can you stop the bleeding, and can you make the other team believe that, you know what, maybe we don't have them? You know, can you really strike fear in a team, even things are going bad in the moment? Can you strike fear in a team in a moment? I look for those moments in the game. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but I always look for that moment. I'm like, ooh, like there's a moment here that they showed them, no, you don't have control of this game, right? I have to see it in the game. Maybe that's what I don't see from the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Oh, they're not. That's your comparable.
I'm not seeing the Tiger Cats. I'm going back to CFL. I'm not seeing the Tiger Cats show a team, at least I haven't seen it in like since the beginning of the season, maybe. But can you stop the bleeding? And the Tiger Cats just haven't seen, again, the game against Winnipeg. They could not stop the bleeding. It's like, what? Come on. Turn it around. When things are going bad, can you turn this thing around in a moment? That's what I got to see. Doesn't matter if you win or lose. Can you turn the game around in a moment?
They had a lot of that. I think about the win in BC, where they went crazy with a great comeback. But you're right, that was months ago.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to end up on this one. And this is a complicated discussion because women's sports, which I'm a huge champion of, there's an interest, and I think the biggest women's league in the world right now is probably the WNBA. It's the one that a lot of people recognize. It's been around for a little bit. They've had some ups and downs, but right now they're facing major challenges. Earlier this week, Minnesota Lynx star Nephisia Collier called out the WNBA as a league, its officials, and Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, saying some stuff that I think people need to hear, and I need your comment after. Let's listen to the clip.
I want to be clear, this conversation is not about winning or losing. It's about something much bigger. The real threat to our league isn't money, it isn't ratings, or even missed calls, or even physical play. It's the lack of accountability from the league office. Since I've been in the league, you've heard the constant concerns about officiating, and it has now reached levels of inconsistency that plague our sport and undermine the integrity in which it operates. Whether the league cares about the health of the players is one thing, but to also not care about the product we put on the floor is truly self-sabotage. Year after year, the only thing that remains consistent is the lack of accountability from our leaders. At Unrivaled this past February, I sat across from Kathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league. Her response was, well, only the losers complain about the refs. I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. And in that same conversation, she told me players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them.
So that was just like 40 seconds of what was a 4-minute press conference of her. She just went off, stated her, and I wasn't really a rant. I wouldn't call that a rant. I think that was a well thought out plan. She had everything written down, and we're seeing incredible support from players around the league on what was brought up there. Now, the commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, has brought up a statement, saying she's on par with the players and she's fighting hard for them. She did issue her disheartenment by the way Nafizia characterized our conversations. She's not too happy about that. I don't know if there's a fine or a suspension coming in, even though she's been knocked out of the playoffs, Collier. Let's just go right here. October of 2025, the end of the CBA, which is huge in any sport and maybe even bigger in the WNBA as this league has suddenly exploded in terms of TV contracts and recognition. Is this league in trouble?
I think they're in big trouble, and I just want to when I think about these things and I see what's happening in the WNBA, I try to actually I know a lot of people want to lump in all the women's sports together, but I really think that every league is. I try to give every league the respect it's due with on their own, right? In terms of because there's different circumstances. I wouldn't dare compare. The WNBA to say like the PWHL or the women's soccer league or anything like that because they're just apples and bowling balls here.
Never heard that before. That's good.
But I do believe they're in trouble because what that tells me right now, and I believe there was an element of the clip again, no, not you didn't air it, but there was an element where she said something about, I didn't get a phone call, a text from Kathy, yada yada yada. And I'm like, so that conversation you relayed was a conversation that went down probably in the heat of bargaining at the bargaining table. Mm-hmm. It's not. I don't think it's good because what that probably the league's looking at and the commissioner is like, you just literally broke the sanctity of the trust of our negotiations. Now I'm sure there's always going to be some tidbits of like when people come out talking about negotiations, mm-hmm. but. That is usually you hear about like, oh, we're right here, they're not here, pay us more, blah blah blah. When right. You talk about labor strikes and all those things, but she went to like a different stratosphere. Like she threw the commissioner under the bus and then some. It can't be good. It can't be good because the league, the commissioner. And probably the NBA, they're probably not happy about this at all. And I don't know what kind of advice the players are getting. If maybe they're doing this themselves, but I don't think it's good what they're doing because I personally don't think they have the leverage that they're looking for. I think I looked at their counter offer. I think they're looking for I believe there's like an equity based element to the league, and, mm-hmm. and the league's just not going to do that. It's not good, and the only way, and I'm trying to figure out why would they go this far when you're literally like less than a month away from the expiration of your agreement. Is it because there's an Unrivaled and you think you're going to start your own thing? Which, by the way, Collier co-founded Unrivaled. Mm-hmm. So I think there might be a little bit of a calculated move here in her part on her coming out with this statement, and which also believes I'm like, this is also a very aggressive move. So they must have real belief that are these players just going to jump to the new Unrivaled league? I mean, it's technically not a league, actually. It's more like an entertainment showcase.
Right.
Like, they don't have a structure. They don't have a union. So it's not really a league. But maybe have the players kind of said, you know what, I think we're ready to go someplace else.
But these things are never legit. We see like Ice-T, that's Ice Cube tried to pull off a similar thing.
Totally get it. No. I'm with you on that part. But that doesn't mean that there's not going to be an aggression to go and do it, though. There's not going to be, or a threat to go and do it. But I really think they played the wrong hand here. It's never. I can't think of a sport where a player would call out a commissioner like that.
I've never heard anything like this.
This is just. It's. And respectfully, maybe this is not. Maybe some people might not like this. But I think the WNBA has an image issue, considering around the controversies. So I think it's the wrong play. I think the players really, unless they're really prepared to be locked out, I just didn't think they did do them any favors.
I will say this. I will say this. Okay, you turn on the WNBA right now, and we see every game now in Canada now, which we never did before, which is a huge change.
Big change.
Right?
Yeah.
Obviously, every game in the United States now is televised. Every game, and the playoffs that I'm seeing right now, every stadium is, if not a sellout, near a sellout. The places are packed, but you've also seen the players come out and shoot around, and at halftime wearing these "Pay Us What We Deserve" T-shirts. Right. So this league is. I couldn't tell you on a bar graph what the rise has been in terms of income coming towards the league, but there's certainly something. It's certainly improved over the last 4 to 5 years. And, of course, I'm going to say her name since the popularity of Caitlin Clark from the NCAA making that transition to this league. There are eyes. There are people cheering for her and her team all of a sudden. Little team in Indiana. Funny, which is funny, right? So I think the players see that and say, hold on. The players are maybe not getting paid. And we do see this in some leagues. Players like Caitlin Clark who are generating, and I'll use her again. I'll send her out because she's if she's not the face of the league, she's maybe the best name, the most well-known name in the league. And those players in their first 4 years, Jason, they're not making any dough. They're making nothing.
Well, I mean, and just days before, Cheryl Reeve complaining about the officiating. I think I found out that I believe officials in the WNBA make about $1,500 a game or something like that. Like but these are the things that the league is trying to consider, and I'm pretty sure that the league has offered them a pay bump. I think it's like, I forget what it was. It was, I mean, compared to what they're earning now, percentage wise, I think it was a couple percentage points. I think it's like in the double digits, but obviously the players want more money. You know, it's. Yes. And by the way, I just want to point out, I think Kathy actually is. I'm actually calling out the commissioner in this regard. She actually gave an incorrect piece of information. You did not get that TV deal. Adam Silver got that TV deal. That came from the NBA TV deal. That was a slice from the NBA TV deal. Is directed to the league, and now the league has costs down the road. I don't know that, but I'm just saying, just based off what I'm seeing, if the players want to keep the chartered flights and they want the benefits for the players who have children, professional treatment, all these things like and bumps in salaries. Now you want the refs to be paid more, like the Leafs. Now you have all these expansion teams coming in, which I do believe that. I'd have to triple check this, but I'm almost positive that the expansion fees doesn't get divided to the teams. It has to go into the league.
Oh wow, okay.
It's something. There's something. It's not like a regular sports league where like all the expansion fees. So there's a lot. I believe there's a lot of things the league has to consider, and the NBA may have to step in on this one. And it looks like Kathy Engelbert. I wouldn't be surprised if she resigns after all of this is done. I would not be surprised. I mean, because her image doesn't look good. But that also, I truly believe that probably came in through the heat of the negotiations. And when those negotiations are happening, I wouldn't be surprised in any job. Hard things are going to be said in that room. Whether you believe about the Caitlin Clark thing or her having a role playing, getting the TV money, whether that's true or not. Hard exchanges are going to happen. So I think there's an element of trust broken there. I think the players, it looked like a calculated move where they're ready to say, you know what, we're ready to leave this league and go play somewhere else if we don't get our money. It's probably coming to that point because I can't recall a labor issue being so far apart with the deadline looming. It doesn't look good. It really doesn't look good. And nobody's going to win out from this.
Wow. I can't see how the players win. And I'm not saying they have to sit there and accept what's given to them. Because if you don't stand up, you don't get. And, we've seen rival leagues go all the way back to the early 70s with the WHA, right? Yeah. I mean, we can go that far back. But what can I say about those rival leagues? Do they ever last in the end? No.
It's the hardest. Starting a sports league is literally the hard. We've seen it's so hard, and it's so costly with the insurance and everything, the sponsorships, the startup costs alone. I mean,
converting the attitudes of fans to say, am I going to watch that over the other league?
Right.
I don't think so. And I'd wonder too. We talk about, go back to the NFL strike in the early '80s. That if there is a second women's professional basketball league, how many of them are actually really going to make the jump to that one league and not hang around in the WNBA?
Granted, some of them may go to Europe because there's always that option too.
Sure.
Which actually they make more money in Europe in some of those leagues. Some of those European leagues, they actually pay pretty well.
For sure.
And that's
cars, and you got your home as well too.
Everything. It's just a different beast over there.
Yeah.
And a little theory behind why if I see this, maybe the league. This is just my theory, but I think the leagues maybe forecasted this was going to happen. This labor negotiation was going to be the toughest ever, and all of a sudden they started announcing all these expansion teams, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, we can't dish out all this new TV money because we got all these new teams coming in. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I think
Canada, Vancouver, and Toronto.
And if you're going to be an anticipated Toronto Tempo fan, this is not good, because if this locks out, then all those expansion plans get pushed back. And if you're a fan in Toronto that wants a WNBA team, there's a good chance you may not even see it for a couple of years, or So if this goes down the way it does, because it's not looking good for the teams that just got expansions. And also too, I'm just theorizing, but were these expansion plans named just so they didn't have to get into a bidding war, because all the players see is like, hey, look at all this TV money, where's our cut? So this is where and again, these negotiations are hard. It's going to get there. They've clearly been tough, and I think the players, they should have kept a little less PR around it and just get to the bargaining table. And you're going to have to find a medium ground here, I think, for if the league wants to survive. It's unfortunate. I know maybe players feel like they need more, but this is just the reality of it. Sometimes there has to be a give and take, right?
Well, I wonder if they look at what's going on in the NBA, where the NBA is the only professional sports league where, in terms of the CBA, if you broke it down in a percentage, where the players are getting more than the owners.
Right.
It's kind of a 51-49% sort of, breakdown. And if they're saying, well, we want that, that's what I hate to break it down to this low level, but this is what the men get, this is what we want, right? And especially because the WNBA is quite a different beast than it was only 5 years ago, right? In terms of recognizable stars, and as we talked about, contracts, money being made, shoe deals. It's going all the way down that deep to what the guys get in the WNBA in the NBA. So,
probably. And again, just on that point, I think the NBA may be the only league where the players really have more leverage than the owners.
Absolutely.
It's probably the only. I don't see it in any other league. So the NBA is in an unusual situation, because they also have. I'm almost certain that they do have some economic issues with some teams. There's a lot of ownership changes. They're trying to keep up with costs, because those costs keep going up, and the superstars, they keep making all this money. They have all this power with they have power in terms of because of economic opportunities, right? They make so much money off the court.
Yes.
And they can hold the cards in a lot of situations. So when you think about player empowerment, it's only really player empowerment for like a very select few.
Very select few.
But it's the only league where the players can really have leverage over the owners, and I think that's why I believe you see the NBA in that split the way it is. So it really isn't fair to compare the situations. That doesn't mean that the WNBA players don't deserve more money. But this is what collective bargaining is, right? It's it's probably important that they get back to the table and try to mend their situation, because it doesn't look good.
No, it's kind of a bad look, and when you're throwing darts at each other, I don't know how productive that is. And I'm not taking away from what Collier said, because it's really opened the eyes of many to what's going on right now, and the fact that there's a real possibility that the season, if there will be one, will certainly be on a delayed start.
Yeah.
Hey Jay, this has been great talking to you. We've covered the business of sport. We've talked about the actual hardcore action, on the field, and really, I think what's so interesting, and I know you have a passion for it, for this kind of stuff and negotiations and stuff we talked about with the CFL. You're awesome at talking to for that kind of stuff. So appreciate you coming with us, bud.
It's been great. I mean, I feel like we could talk for another hour.
Really could. I mean, we had to drop an element there too, which is a passion of ours too. Maybe we'll get to it the next time that we get together. But I'll see you back in the newsroom.
All right, let's get back to the grind.
All right. Folks, that's your Sportsline podcast for the day. And if you've just seen and heard, we love talking sports. I love talking to this guy about sports. If you do know of an athlete, team, or event to promote the Sportsline podcast, do want to hear from you. Please hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe button. And I have to do further investigation. What's this? There's a new button, Jay, I hear that you can hit right now. You hit it, it's like increasing viewers, and everyone gets to see it. Anyway, go to YouTube and check it out. And just press the buttons. And if you have something to say, please comment. For the wonderful people that make the Sportsline podcast possible, thank you so very much. And we'll see you real soon.